Hi everyone, it's Holly and I am back with a book review, which I don't even know the last time I did a book review. I don't feel like I'm very good at that. A lot. I'm also like boiling hot right now. So I want to talk about The Last Hope by Krista and Becca Ritchie. So this is going to be mostly a non-spoiler review. We could talk about them, and I thought I had done a review of The Raging Ones, but I looked on my channel and apparently I never did. So the next time I reread that, I will do a review of that as well. So The Raging Ones is book one in this duology by Krista and Becca, and then The Last Hope just came out this past August. Not October. It's not even October yet. I did get an e-arc of both of these books and I read them both as arcs, but I of course purchased them. I pre-ordered The Last Hope. I think I pre-ordered The Raging Ones too. I can't remember. This is a young adult, probably like more mature YA science fiction, which is something different from what Krista and Becca typically write. But spoiler alert, they did a fantastic job. So the series as a whole follows three main characters. There's Franny, Court, and Michael. I've even listened to the audiobook, which I do highly recommend for The Raging Ones, and I still have trouble with his name. So in their world, everyone when they're born is tested with this device, and that device comes out with a death day, and that is the day that you're gonna die. You don't know how you're gonna die or anything, but you do know that you're gonna die. Also, you are broken up. Murphy, stop. You are broken up into different classes of people based on your death day. So you have your babes, which I think they live up until they're like 8, and then fast trackers are between that and like 30, and then influentials are anybody that lives from 30 to like 120 or 30 or something is like the max age. And like babes are revered and tried to give like the best life possible because they don't get long lives. Fast trackers are kind of like, stop it, why you gotta be so difficult during a filming of a video. Fast trackers live their life without a lot of concern. They're usually like the labor force, and they do a lot of drugs and have a lot of casual sex and just live like their lives to like the fullest. And then influentials are the people who are like wealthy and run the world basically. Franny, Court, and Michael come together in book one because they all end up skipping their death days. They don't die on the day that they're supposed to die. So in the first book, they enter this competition to join a crew of people who are going to be sent into space for reasons on this planet. I can't remember if those are spoilery or not, so I won't say them. They want to get off their planet because they're afraid that somebody's going to figure out that they skipped their death day, and then who knows what'll happen to them then. And throughout the book, they have like a great friendship and romance and everything. So I will say these are both high quality 5-star reads. I highly recommend them. Obviously, I love Krista and Becca. If you've watched my channel, you probably know that. I'm like obsessed. But I honestly think that these two books are so good. It's still like quintessential Krista and Becca. They write great characters, great relationships, friendship and romantic. But in my opinion, The Last Hope, I haven't read Sinful Like Us, which is their latest release. So I haven't read that yet, but in my opinion, having read all of their books except for Sinful Like Us that are published, The Last Hope is their best book. That's my opinion. So I highly recommend them. I will say I'm going to now go into more detail about The Last Hope. I'm not going to spoil The Last Hope, but I will be spoiling The Raging Ones. So if you have not read The Raging Ones, I highly recommend picking it up. Like I said, the audiobook is great. You should be able to get it from your library if you want. I highly recommend listening to it. The narrators are great. There's 3 narrators. All 3 of them are fantastic. So let's get into The Last Hope. So first, let's talk about characters. So Franny, Court, and Michael are still fantastic characters. I started in this book really caring about Court, whereas in The Raging Ones, I liked him enough, but he was definitely my least favorite character, and if anything, I liked him or I appreciated him through the lens of Michael, because Michael loves him so much, and I felt that through him. But here, I started to kind of understand him a little bit better and get where he was coming from, and I really liked that. Franny is still by far my favorite POV character in the series. I think that she is the one I connect with the most, and she's probably the easiest for people to connect with. She's kind of your entry point in the story, so maybe that's why, I don't know. There's also a new POV added in this book, which I did not know was gonna happen, and I was obsessed with it. I loved that character. I'm not gonna go into detail about that character because so many spoilers, but I loved that character. I loved that character's dynamic with each and every one of the original 3 POV characters. There was just, it was perfectly done. And I love seeing that. I love seeing characters that you know and you understand being put in different situations with different people and seeing what that brings out in them. So, the romance. So there is a romance in The Raging Ones, and there is a romance in The Last Hope. Like a carryover and maybe some more romancy things. But it is by far not the focus of these stories. And I love, which also if you've ever seen my videos, you probably know. So of course I have to address the romances, even though they are pretty minor. I still love the romance between Court and Michael. I think that it's really solid and it just makes me so happy when they're together. In this book, I will say Court was a little bit of a stupid head, but I understand. There's also a new romance, like I said, which is just so awkwardly adorable. I've been reading tons of like awkward, adorable romances lately, and I'm loving it. As a side note, there are also some really, really good non-romantic relationships in this book, and in The Raging Ones, but I think even more so in The Last Hope. And I can't go into detail about them because of spoilers, but there are so many solid friendships in here and just other relationships that grow and build that I just loved reading about. And I will say that is something that Krista and Becca do really, really well. Their other books tend to have a pretty large cast, and while the books will focus on a main couple because they're romances, it really is an ensemble cast, an ensemble world where you get to see all of these different interactions, and so it's nice to still see that here. So, plot. Oh my gosh, so much happened in this book, and like, look at this book. It is just like a standard YA size book. So is The Raging Ones, and so much happens. Same with The Raging Ones. Like, I have no idea how they put so much in just this duology and made it such a satisfying and appropriately lengthed duology. Like, throughout The Last Hope especially, it's like boom, 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 thing, reveal, blah, blah, blah. And there was tons of high stakes, which you could really feel, and had me like on the edge of my seat. There was characters I was like, are you gonna die? Are you not gonna die? And tears were shed, emotions were felt. And I wouldn't consider this a spoiler, but I'll put spoiler on the screen until I finish saying it in case you think it might be a spoiler and you don't want to listen to what I'm about to say. But this book in particular, although the series as a whole, I have no idea if Krista and Becca have ever seen the show. I should ask. gave me such BSG vibes, like so hard. And all I wanted to do when I finished The Last Hope was go rewatch BSG, which is Battlestar Galactica, by the way. Okay, so the writing. Obviously, I love Krista and Becca's writing. I'm like a crazy fangirl for them. I support them on Patreon. I'm on their Facebook. Like, I buy all their books in multiple formats. I love them. And their writing really works for me. And I think even if you weren't interested in reading their romance stories, I think you could still read these and you could still get a flavor of that writing. Because what they're really good at doing is writing characters and writing these relationships between these characters. They talk about that a lot, saying that they're not the best authors, but that they're really good storytellers. And I have to say, I agree. They are experts, in my opinion, at crafting relationships. And I mean that in the most general of ways. Obviously, they write a ton of romance, but they know how to create relationships and interpersonal dynamics and interactions in such a realistic, compelling, and fluid way. Like I said before, I think The Last Hope may be their best book yet, and I really, really hope that they consider writing more non-contemporary books in the future. Not that I don't love their contemporary books. Of course I do. I would love more, especially in the Ariel Ethereal universe. Need a Dimitri book. Anyways, but I think that their writing shines here, and I would love for them to write more. I know these books did not do as well as maybe it would have been liked, especially because they were traditionally published, but I would love to see them explore this genre or other non-contemporary genres again in the future. With the writing, they also did some really interesting things with language in The Last Hope, and in retrospect, The Raging Ones, but because of stuff you find out in The Last Hope, you don't notice it in The Raging Ones until you read The Last Hope, if that makes sense. It's mostly surrounding word choice, and it was really fascinating. And now I am going to address a flat-out spoiler to explain what I mean. So if you've read the book, you can hear what I mean when I say this. So I'll put up spoilers again on the screen until I'm done saying this. So you've been warned. Okay, bye. So at the end of The Raging Ones, you find out that the reason that Court, Michael, and Franny didn't die on their death day is because they're human and the planet they're on are aliens. And so then they meet humans from Earth, and through meeting of those humans, you realize all of a sudden that there were so many words that were never used by these characters in The Raging Ones, and they're exposed to phrases that they've never been exposed to before. And they're like the simplest of things, but once it's pointed out to you, you realize this like subtle weaving in of language to showcase like this differentness that you didn't even know was there. Like, I would love to, now knowing that and having the context of The Last Hope, to go back to The Raging Ones and reread it. And it really showed the difference between the humans and these aliens, and who are also humanoid, obviously. It was just really interesting. Okay, welcome back, non-spoilery people. So that is it. The last thing is what I always do in my reviews, and that is what I recommend. I feel like I should stop doing this part of this review thing, because for the most part, if I review a book, I'm gonna recommend it. So So my answer is yes, of course I would recommend it. Naturally, I would only recommend you read The Last Hope if you read The Raging Ones, but you know. I think if you like Krista and Becca already, you should give it a shot. Or if you like sci-fi or you're interested in sci-fi, it's pretty light on like super sci-fi elements in my opinion, so it's pretty approachable. I think a lot of different people could enjoy this story, and I would love more people to read it because I think Krista and Becca deserve more recognition. So buy it, borrow it from the library, read it, audiobook, whatever, I don't care. So if you have read The Raging Ones or The Last Hope and you have any comments or concerns, if you didn't like it like I did, that's fine, you can leave your comments down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.